Now available in paperback and Kindle, All About Marilyn. Learn all about the struggles of a faded former teen sitcom star in this absolutely fabulous 5-star screenplay. Get All About Marilyn in paperback and Kindle on Amazon.com today. Yesterday, the Montgomery County District Attorney's Office decided to petition the U.S. Supreme Court to reinstate Bill Cosby's sexual assault conviction. Now, this kind of action is quite peculiar because when a prosecutor winds up getting their conviction overturned by a state Supreme Court, which is usually the highest court in the state, they usually wind up accepting that loss and moving on. However, your Kevin Steele seems to not want to accept that Bill Cosby's conviction was overturned by the highest court in the state of Pennsylvania, and now is looking to go to a federal U.S. Supreme Court in an effort to reinstate these convictions against Bill Cosby. Now, when I take a critical examination of these actions by the Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office, they show me that your Kevin Steele clearly has an obsession with Bill Cosby. And that obsession, as I believe, is affecting his mental health and his ability to perform the duties of his office. Now, the reason why I say this is affecting his mental health is because only an obsessed person is going to go out here looking to petition the U.S. Supreme Court to reinstate a conviction against an individual. That's not the actions of a prosecutor who is truly concerned about doing an effective job of representing the state. No, that is the actions of an individual who is representing themselves. And that person is showing how they are just representing some sort of obsession that they have, because a normal prosecutor who has gone out here and had his conviction overturned by the highest court in the state, they are going to respect the judgment made by those judges of that appellate court, especially if it is the highest court in the state. So when you see a person like a Kevin Steele going out here and looking to go out here and try to get a conviction overturned by the highest court in the state, it just shows how this person will go to any lengths to break boundaries, and how they have absolutely no ethics whatsoever. And that was clearly shown to us back a couple of years ago when your Kevin Steele went out here and ran for district attorney, saying that he was going to convict Bill Cosby. That right there clearly showed bias on the part of this prosecutor when he was running for the office, and it showed that he could not be an impartial prosecutor, because a prosecutor's job is to represent the state, and clearly he was not representing the state based on the facts of evidence like a prosecutor is supposed to. No, he was representing his feelings, and the main reason why he is using the office of the state like a weapon against Bill Cosby is because he is so in his feelings about losing to Bill Cosby in court that he hopes to use the highest court in the land in an effort to try to get his revenge against Bill Cosby. No, this man is not satisfied with the fact that he got Bill Cosby railroaded and took 3 years of his life on a trumped-up charge of sexual assault that never happened. No, he continues to escalate his behavior by going out here and going to the U.S. Supreme Court, again weaponizing the court against Mr. Cosby. And this weaponization of the courts against Bill Cosby is something that the jurists of the Supreme Court really need to take a critical examination of, because this prosecutor is clearly got some sort of issue that is leading to him to participating in what I believe to be obsessed behavior that really shows that this man has serious mental health issues that need to be addressed by mental health professionals, because clearly only a person who has mental health issues continues to fixate on an individual and continues to focus on them because, again, a normal jurist, they only want to focus on the facts of their case based on the evidence, and if they cannot prove their case in a court of law, then they accept the loss in that case and then they move on. But your Kevin Steele clearly shows us that he cannot accept the facts of the case being overturned, which was overturned because your Kevin Steele used an affidavit that Mr. Cosby was told by the previous prosecutor would not be used against him, but he decided to compromise ethics and go out here and use same said affidavit to go out here and use it to get that trumped up conviction against Bill Cosby. And when we look at the common denominator in all of the issues with Bill Cosby, it is your Kevin Steele, who clearly, as I've stated before, has this obsession with Bill Cosby because he constantly tries to weaponize the courts to try to attack Mr. Cosby, and he continues to try to use the weaponizing of the courts to harass and intimidate Mr. Cosby. And Mr. Cosby, as I see it right now, needs to take serious legal action against your Kevin Steele and the Montgomery County Prosecutor's Office, because this action right here is extremely egregious because it could possibly do even more damage than your Kevin Steele's verdict previously as related to the conviction of Bill Cosby, which damaged men's rights all across this country. And if he were able to reinstate these charges against Bill Cosby, no defendant in this country would be safe in any way, shape, or form, because the interpretation of the law would mean that any conviction that was overturned by an appellate court could be easily undone by a prosecutor's office in a lower court. And again, that doesn't make any logical sense because according to our Constitution, once a case is brought to an appeals court and they can find numerous judicial errors in a trial, and if they overturn that conviction, then that is what stands. And what stands right now is that Mr. Cosby has been cleared of all charges as related to that trumped up conviction, and he is now a free citizen with all of his rights restored to him. And as a free citizen, he is innocent until proven guilty. And this attempt to take this case to the Supreme Court is basically your Kevin Steele trying to try Mr. Cosby once more, and that is double indemnity under our United States Constitution. You cannot go out here and charge somebody once again for a case that they've already been acquitted of by a higher court, and you cannot reinstate charges on someone once the state has not been able to prove its case in an appellate court. So this basically, again, shows us how deeply unhinged your Kevin Steele and his people who work in his office are becoming, and it shows us how these individuals basically are becoming and showing us that they are more and more unfit for the offices that they hold, because a prosecutor's job is to represent the state based on the facts of evidence brought to them by detectives, and the prosecutor's office is to try cases based on the evidence that is presented to them. It is not for the prosecutor's office to try a case based on the feelings of a prosecutor who has either a personal grudge or a personal vendetta against an individual, and it is not for a prosecutor to weaponize the office of district attorney and then use it as a weapon to go after individuals like Mr. Cosby. No, that is what our founding fathers fought against, because they saw this kind of action done by King George back in the 1770s during the American Revolution, and your actions that your Kevin Steele are participating in are very similar to those that King George participated in, trying to weaponize the courts and then trying to use it to punish individuals that they have issues with. Well, whatever issue your Kevin Steele has with Mr. Cosby, he clearly needs to work it out in psychotherapy, because clearly with this action, he clearly shows us that he is in some way obsessed and has some sort of mental illness, because only a mentally ill person is going to try to make reality fit their own ideals instead of accepting what is presented as related to the facts, as related to what's going on. Now, only a deranged individual is going to sit there and continue to try to insist and make something into reality when the facts show that this never happened at all. And this is the reason why I have to question Kevin Steele's sanity, because only an insane person is going to go to these lengths to try to bring down an individual and waste state resources, because this is wasting lots of your state taxpayer dollars in the state of Pennsylvania on a case that has already been adjudicated and everybody has moved on. No, only a person with serious mental health issues is going to continue to try to spend government resources and government time instead of spending that resources and government time towards prosecuting individuals in cases where they can go out here and gain a conviction because the evidence is more solid, and make efforts to deal with individuals who have actually committed crimes. I mean, why isn't this prosecutor making efforts to go after individuals who have gone out here and committed murders and other criminal acts? That's a critical question I have to ask, because that's the type of action that a prosecutor who is right in their mind would be doing. But this prosecutor, from the beginning, all he wanted to do was get fame by destroying the reputation of Bill Cosby. But because Bill Cosby's been able to prove that there was no crime committed, now he cannot handle that logical fact of reality. And now that he cannot handle that fact of reality, he is now showing us that there is something wrong with his sanity at this point, because this whole case, only a crazy person would continue to persist after a loss. But when it comes down to your white supremacists, oftentimes they can't deal with the reality that a black man has managed to defeat them in life. Just like in the case of 1995's O.J. Simpson trial, many white supremacists could not deal with the fact that O.J. Simpson was able to prove his case beyond a reasonable doubt as related to the murders of Nicole Brown and Ronald Goldman, that he did not murder them. We have people like your Kevin Steele who cannot deal with the fact that there was no crime that took place between Mr. Cosby and Andrea Constand, and that the whole thing is based on the evidence that was presented. You did not win your case, and the irony is that Mr. Steele can't see that it was his compromising of ethics as related to that affidavit that caused this loss, which further shows how deeply deranged I believe your Mr. Steele is, because he cannot see that his actions are the thing that led to this outcome, because had he not gone out here and used that affidavit, then this outcome would not have taken place. It was his compromising of ethics that might have got him a short-term conviction, but it led to him having a long-term loss. And now that he's got this long-term loss to deal with, this is why I believe he's losing his mind. But this is par for the course for your white supremacists, because many of them cannot deal with the reality that a black man has managed to defeat them, and they cannot deal with the fact that when a black man has gone into their legal system, where they're used to having the fix-in and then going out here and pulling a win in their own legal system. They can't deal with those kind of facts as related to this case, And that's why this man is, again, attacking Mr. Cosby in court. And this, again, is the behavior of a mentally ill individual, because only a mentally ill person continues to obsess about something because they want things to go their way and they cannot deal with the realities of a situation and accept what is. So this is what drives them mad. And I believe the people of Montgomery County really need to start working towards removing this prosecutor, because clearly this man is not fit for office. When you see him going after a case that has already been adjudicated, that really shows that there's some sort of mental health issue that really needs to be dealt with, because no Supreme Court is going to reinstate charges as related to a case that has been dealt with by the highest court in a state, and no Supreme Court justice would even want to waste time on said case, because there are far more important matters for them to deal with than deal with a case that has already been dealt with and adjudicated. No, the only person who believes that this case is important is Kevin Steele, and it's only important because he's got delusions about Bill Cosby, delusions that drive his obsession and his compulsion to continue going after Mr. Cosby when everything has been finished. And the whole thing is, if he continues to persist, he may be finished as related to a career in law. Now, if you want to see me make more videos like this, you can donate to my Patreon, my PayPal, or my Cash App by clicking the links in the description box. And if you want to pick up some of my SJS Direct publications, like the ISIS series, the E-Steam series, the John Haynes series, and the books of the Smith Sorella trilogy, you can find those books on Amazon.com in paperback and Kindle format. You can also find them on Smashwords, the iBookstore, and Google Play. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe. Now available, paperback and e-readers, E-Steam Cancel Vacation. Hell's Aspiring Angel takes on a social justice, social media mob looking to cancel her in this all-new E-Steam series adventure. Get E-Steam Cancel Vacation in paperback and e-readers today.